Okay, hi guys out there, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So yesterday, I, our governor here in Connecticut, Governor Edward Ned Lamont, aka Governor Edward Ned Lamont, he said, I'm going to pull this up for you guys. He said, let me show you here. Hold on a second. Okay, cracking down on risky behavior. So there's a bunch of things that he said here. Stepping up enforcement on large private parties, fines and closures of businesses violating rules, however that is determined and whatever that means. First fines issued due to travel advisory, but the one that I really want to talk to today is the no mask because of medical condition will require documentation. Are we in the world of show me your papers? Can he actually do that? Is that even legal? So I wanted to do a little bit of research on this and the language of the executive order. And I'm going to put this in a comments for you guys with all the notes. Excuse me, I got my dog's over here. He's poking around. So I went to the Connecticut website, the General Assembly website, and I looked up the executive order. I'm going to pull it up right here for you guys. Let us read this very important part together, which I highlighted. Notice the language of this executive order has not changed. I'm also going to call the governor's office to ask some questions and see what they have to say regarding this order. So here we go. Nothing in this order shall require the use of a mask or a cloth face covering by anyone for whom doing so would be contrary to his or her health or safety because of a medical condition. A child in a child care setting, anyone under the age of 2 years or older, child if the parent, guardian, blah, 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 person. If a person declines to wear a mask or face covering because of a medical condition as described above, such person shall now be required to produce medical documentation verifying the stated condition. This order shall supersede, preempt any current, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what exactly did he mean yesterday? When he said that now you're supposed to show your papers, who are you showing papers to? Are you supposed to go into a grocery store? And who is authorized to decide what is a doctor's note, a medical exemption? Who are you giving those papers to? And we have laws in our country. First of all, we have privacy laws and we have HIPAA laws. And what point is it that we have to carry medical documentation to walk around without a mask on? He says that people are abusing this. Well, I don't wear a mask. And when I'm out in public, most of the people have masks on. And lately, it has gotten so bad to walk around with a bare face. I've literally had a couple of older people. I had this one guy call me names. I was far away from him. I wasn't anywhere near him. He has no right to call me names. That's discrimination, because last I checked, what is discrimination? So I'm not like everybody else. I can't wear that mask. I have reasons. They're personal, and I don't have to explain that to you. It's not only personal. There's a lot involved with that, but who are you to question me? And let's really get down into something. There is no randomized control trials that show that there is any statistical difference between wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, okay? In my show notes, I have a great video from Ben Swan, excellent journalist. I suggest you check him out. He is one of many who have said this. Also have a link to Patrick Wood of Technocracy News, the editor-in-chief of Technocracy News, Patrick Wood. I have a link for you there so you can find out all about Technocracy News and also find out about getting cards that you could wear around your neck that basically gives you, it just states the ADA law, the American for Disabilities Act, and also your First Amendment rights. Because remember, those things really do count a lot. It's an important thing. So this governor, he just went on TV yesterday and he said, I'm going to pull it up again for you guys in case you just popped in. Let me pull this up for you. Look, I'm shocked. So he said a bunch of things, but I'm focusing on no mask because of medical conditions will require documentation. Did like I wake up in Nazi Germany? Since when is this even okay? And I'm really, it's very disturbing that people who aren't wearing masks are being blamed for the spread of COVID. That's not true. Okay, there's nothing statistically factual or anything about that. It's just a total fallacy. That's not true. It spreads hate, it spreads fear, and it spreads discrimination. So let's get down to a couple things. So first of all, I'm gonna give Mr. Lamont a call. Now I recommend this to everybody. It's really, really super easy to do. Is you just put them, and you can't see that in there, but you just put these folks in your contacts. Put all of your legislator, your governor, the president, everybody in your contacts. No, you don't have their direct number. I had somebody get confused one time because I'm like, I called the governor and they're like, what, did you call him at home? I'm like, no, I called his office, but I keep the number in my phone. So when there's an issue, I can call him up. So just a couple of things about when you call the state capitol or any public official's office, you always, just be polite and whatnot. So let's get to the bottom of this. I'm not sure if anyone's going to answer. They should technically still be around, although it is 4:30, but let's see what happens. Hopefully you guys can hear that, right?
Thank you for calling the office of Governor Ned Lamont. To continue this call in Spanish, please press 1 now. If you are calling regarding an issue with the Department of Labor, including all unemployment services, please press 2. If you have questions or concerns regarding COVID-19, the reopening of the state, or related issues, please visit our website at ct.gov/coronavirus. This page offers information and resources regarding COVID-19 testing, business reopening, mortgage and rent assistance, and many other issues. Governor Lamont thanks you for taking the time to share your opinions and concerns with him. In the event we must forward your correspondence to one of our state agencies, we ask that you please submit your issues in writing by emailing us at governor.lamont@ct.gov. This will enable us to deal with your issue in the most expeditious manner possible. Our constituent services representatives are available to answer calls from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. To speak to a constituent services representative, please hold for the next available person.
Okay, so I'm holding here. Yeah, let's see if we get somebody. That's quite a lot, so it's very unusual. Oh, here we go. Let's see what happens.
Governor Lamont's office, how can I help you?
Yes, I'm concerned about yesterday during the press conference. Governor Lamont had said that the executive order 7BB requiring masks was going to change, and the section that was changing was that now you have to produce medical documentation. I'm a bit concerned about that because I feel like that's really discriminatory. Is that true?
So the short answer is yes. It's, there are certain laws that still apply that complicate that a little bit, so it's not going to necessarily apply in every case. But I would stay tuned for more information about that coming.
So am I supposed to have?
Yes.
So I'm supposed to have medical documentation to go into the grocery store.
It depends on the condition that you have. I would say more information is coming. I'm just not able to answer specific questions.
So the executive order as it stands has not technically changed.
Not yet.
Not yet. And here's another thing that I just want to say this, that as a person with a reason not to wear the mask, I have to say that I have a problem with some of the people who are like afraid of me and have called me names. What about that kind of situation? Am I supposed to have some kind of badge or wear something? And isn't that a little strange in 2020 and kind of scary?
I certainly understand that. People aren't really supposed to do that. It's one of the things where, if you do have a medical reason, then yes, you are exempt from wearing a mask. But I would say if you are being harassed, definitely don't hesitate to contact the police department if there are threats being made against you. But
appreciate you taking the time to hear my concerns. And I'm going to be writing a letter to Governor Lamont with more of my concerns. I understand that everybody wants to do the best they can, but I really feel that it's very important that we stick to the, our Constitution and the way that our laws are created, and that people who are disabled or cannot wear masks for maybe something like PTSD or anxiety, and even rape victims, who the mask presents a serious form of anxiety, that's not fair, and it's really hard on those people who are a minority. And I thought we were supposed to be tolerant and not discriminate against each other. So those are some big concerns that I have.
Okay, I will be sure to note them for the governor. Would you like to leave your name?
Yes, Jennifer Schaefer.
Jennifer, what town do you live in?
Portland, Connecticut.
Portland. Okay, I will make sure that the governor gets the message.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for your call.
Can you believe that? Can you literally, honestly believe that? Our governor goes on television, says that a law has changed, and it's not. He couldn't really answer my question, okay? So the governor goes on. So here is what the problem is, and I'm going to really be very clear about this. So when the governor does something like that, he says a lot. He lies. He lies on TV. He says that now you require documentation, medical documentation. Obviously you do not. He's saying, well, yes, but no. But it really is no, because he's being slippery. And at the end of it, it's no. So what happens is he's breaking the law. And people are being bullied into doing something that is detrimental to their own health. And then other people are feeling empowered to bully people without a mask because they think that not wearing a mask is somehow a political thing or has to do with Trump, or that a person not wearing a mask deserves to be called, I've been called stupid by an older man. This was recently. I couldn't believe it. It shook me up, and I'm pretty tough-skinned. I mean, I continued my shopping, but it definitely disturbed me. Oh, I don't want to go into a grocery store and be called stupid. Where's your mask? Oh, you're stupid. What? You don't know me. You don't know me. You have no right to even ask me. I'm not in your way. I'm not touching you. I'm nothing. I'm in the store 6 feet away from you. You're the one that's pulling your mask down to call me names. And when the governor has the audacity to go on live television and say that you now require medical documentation to go to the grocery store, and it's based on nothing. I'm going to pull this back up for you guys so you can see here. Let's read it together. Again, this little part here, way at the end, is the most important part. If a person declines to wear a mask or face covering because of a medical condition as described above, such person shall not be required to produce medical documentation verifying the stated condition. So, are people, then I asked, because I had just called the governor. The person I was talking to was an aide in the governor's office, and it's sometimes really hard to get a hold of the governor, so I was really surprised I was able to get in that easily, so that was a good thing. But he did say, I was like, so is that going to require that we have to wear like a badge that I have a medical condition or I'm exempted from this? I mean, if we don't remember history, history is an important thing. If we don't look at our history, look at history, human history, and what's happened in the past when things like this happen, I'm going to just go, people say this all the time, and maybe it's become cliche or something, but this is Nazi-like behavior. Jewish people had to put yellow stars on. What is it going to come down to here, really? And I got to tell you, all of the science that I've read does not support masks. Models and speculations or observations, that's not gold standard science. That's not, what's gold standard science? Randomized control trials, double-blind placebo studies. The only thing they have on masks is anecdotal. We see that the people in Asia, they did this way, so they wear masks, so it must be masks. It could be a multitude of different things, right? And I just also want to say this to you guys, too. There was an article that's been scrubbed from the internet. And I'm going to give you the name. I can't unfortunately easily post it because it's a long article and it's basically been scrubbed. You can go back in the Wayback Machine. I'm going to pull it up for you guys on my phone here, and I'll see if I can post it into Facebook as a post. But this article, it was written in 2016. It was a very thorough examination of masks, and this was written by a dentist, and he was arguing about masks as if they worked in a dental hygiene practice and whatnot. It was a really, really interesting article, but it's been scrubbed from the internet. I can't post it to Facebook. I've tried from the website that I found it on, and it won't let me. But I'm going to give you the title of it. It's called Why Face Masks Don't Work, a Revealing Review. And it is by John Hardy, BDS, MSc, PhD, FRCDC. And one of the things that I found really fascinating here was by reading his article that I had no idea. The FDA is not regulating face masks. So there's no standard. There's no okay, so if face masks work, wouldn't there be a standardized mask, a thing that you would have that you would say, this is it, this is the standard? There is nothing at all. The FDA doesn't regulate it. So that's a really interesting fact. And then also here, so he goes on to talk about the face masks. He goes, cloth or cotton gauze masks have been used since the late 19th century and protect sterile fields from spit and mucus generated by the wearers. So when people say, oh, doctors and nurses wear masks, or would you want to go to a dentist and blah, 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 without a mask on. And that is the reason. It's not, viruses are teeny, teeny, tiny. And no, I'm not a microbiologist, but I do appreciate science, and I can read science, and I can be fascinated by science. No, am I an expert? No, I'm just reading information and I'm passing it along. That's what I'm doing. I can read, I can think, and so can anyone else. So it's not real rocket science to read articles by scientists and other doctors who disagree with the mainstream establishment government-funded scientists, okay? So it also says, okay, so a secondary function was to protect the mouth and nose of the wearer from sprays and splashes of blood and body fluids created during surgery, which totally makes sense, right? Totally makes sense. And by the way, when doctors and nurses are in a surgical environment, they have a totally air-conditioned and air-treated room with a lot. It's not like children being in school in September or October when it's hot wearing these things on their face. It's for our children's sake that really scares me quite a bit. So this is a really good and thorough article. I'll see if I can post it as a comment. You could try to find it on the Wayback Machine. You can find a link to it, and they just scrubbed it. It says, oh, this is an old article. It's 2016, okay? He goes into deep review of all kinds of stuff. It's a great, great article. I highly recommend it. And why are they censoring it? Why are they censoring the most basic information? It doesn't make sense to me. The answer to false information or information that you think is incorrect is to research more, is to ask more questions, is to counteract it. So if you think that I'm saying false, well, let's debate about it. And I have debated with people, and we keep it clean. I'm cool with that. The minute you start insulting me, I'm done, and I don't have any more energy to give you. But I'm going to tell you that when they're sitting there saying, studies say, from Asia, or somebody had shared on my wall the other day that this town that had no face mask ordinances, they had higher COVID numbers than a town that did. Well, that's total anecdotal, and let's talk about the tests real quick. And I don't want to get too far into that because I'm doing research on the tests, and it's a big dive into information to start to research about the COVID test. I shouldn't even say COVID. I'm hoping that's not going to flag my video. But the interesting thing that I found is the EUA. So the EUA, I'm going to read this to you guys, okay, what an EUA is. So the COVID test that they have right now is not authorized by the FDA the way it typically would be. Typically, there's a process that goes through, and then there's a standard developed. So there's this is the test that we're using. Right now, with the FDA. And you could go look this up yourself. It's absolutely fascinating. You can go on the FDA website and you can look at who is registering to do testing and whatnot with the FDA. So it's the wild, wild west of testing. Tests are not accurate. There's a lot of false positives. And the most scary part of it is no one has isolated the novel COVID-19. They have isolated a corona RNA strain. Coronavirus is a common cold, and there's different strains of it. So interestingly enough, when you see this, so emergency use authorization, in certain types of emergencies, the FDA can issue an emergency use authorization, or EUA, to provide more timely access to critical medical products that may help during emergencies when there are no adequate approved available options. We are still using COVID tests that are approved only under an EUA, which is an emergency use authorization. Let me read this to you again one more time. In certain types of emergencies, the FDA can issue an emergency use authorization, or EUA, to provide more timely access to critical medical products that may help during an emergency when there are no adequate approved options available. So we are doing all this testing. When you go on, you can go onto the FDA website. You can look at this all up yourself. It's all out there, plain as day. I'm planning a whole show on these tests, okay? And it's mind-blowing. So I'm really just touching the surface. There was one other aspect that I wanted to share with you guys. So what they did was they are basing their EUA off of the Chinese had isolated what they said was a coronavirus, but they have never found the novel COVID-19. Okay, they had found RNA, a corona RNA. You can check out John Rappaport. He does some really thorough coverage of this, and I'm putting together a whole story about this with show notes and links that you guys are going to be able to follow. And so really this was about masks and the executive order. I'm just touching the surface on this because they are definitely connected. And I just wanted, the point of this is to say that these elected officials, they act like they're speaking a fact, and it's not based in reality. So Ned Lamont has said that you're supposed to produce medical papers now. No, you're not. You're not. You may run into more bullies in the grocery store. Hold your ground. You can visit, I'm going to put a link into the show notes. I wonder if I could do that right now. I'm going to put a link into the show notes to Patrick Wood. He does a couple of things, but he has a First Amendment free speech organization, and they're giving out little cards. I'm going to put that in the comments. I'm going to see if I can do that right now while I'm doing this live, if at all possible. So this is Citizens for Free Speech. Go check this out. citizensforfreespeech.org. Patrick Wood, wonderful, amazing American patriot who talks a lot about technocracy. And if you guys aren't familiar with the term technocracy, familiarize yourself with it. But you can visit his website, and you can get a tag. You can get a tag that basically says the ADA and gives all that information in First Amendment, just like no mask, don't ask kind of thing. So be empowered, guys. Don't let these government officials, we can't let them bully us. We have to be empowered. We have to find out what the truth is and keep pressing them on this. So no, the executive order, mask order that Governor Ned Lamont signed in April has not legally changed. He made a statement on television the other day, and there's nothing to back it. He's basically setting the stage for bullying and harassment, and it's wrong. And only way this is ever going to stop is if we put a stop to it. So we got to do something about it, because if we don't take action and start doing things to protect our inalienable rights, no, it's not freedom like you're dumb and it's stupid to want your inalienable rights and your right to say no to medical products, vaccines, because that's coming. Where's your boundary? Mine is the masks. That's my line in the sand. That's it. It's vaccines too, but that's it. I can't. We gotta fight back, and if we don't, we're gonna be ruled by tyrants. I mean, and they don't even use law, and the executive orders all expire on September 9th. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a special session or if there's some way he tries to extend these orders. It'll be very interesting to see. So, just so you know, the executive order 7BB on face masks has not changed. You do not need to show me your papers, but be prepared to stand your ground. And I'll be live tomorrow with Victoria Eloise around 1 o'clock, and we'll be talking about Governor Lamont. Can I just say this real quick about Governor Lamont? Governor Edward Ned Lamont. Interesting. He's a descendant, right? His grandfather is from the House of Morgan. That's J.P. Morgan N. Chase. He's from Big Time Money. So is his wife, Annie Huntress Lamont. And Victoria and I do a lot of deep dives on the Lamonts and the corruption in the state of Connecticut. So I hope you guys tune in tomorrow afternoon for a discussion on what's happening in Connecticut. There's so much. Victoria was posting about Eversource today, so she's got some things to say about that as well. So for now, that's it. Just remember, the executive order hasn't changed, even though the governor went on TV and said now you have to show medical documentation if you're not wearing a mask. They can't just do that, folks. He can't just do that. He's not a king. There are laws. He doesn't supersede the Constitution or HIPAA laws or your personal rights to privacy. He doesn't supersede that, okay? He is not your doctor. He is not qualified. The government is not qualified to tell you what to do with your body. It's just not. It's a bad, dangerous recipe. And it is my only hope is that the silent majority starts to come out and use their voice, because your voice is needed now. There is no time to just sit back and be quiet anymore. We all have to take action with any way, shape, or form we can. Call the governor's office like I just did. Have a talk with them. Always remain and keep your decorum, but have a talk with them. Let them know you're paying attention. I'll be live tomorrow with Victoria Eloise. Till then, see you guys later. Oh, jcherrypresents.com. If you appreciate and like what we're doing, you can find out more. Okay, there you go.